Hi, my name is Sakthi Saravanan, and this is my digital assignment 1 submission on video presentation for the course CSE 1006 Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Technologies. So, my project title is Python Frameworks for Blockchain Development. So, I'll be discussing what are the various Python frameworks that exist where we can connect a blockchain network to our existing software applications, and I will be going through what are the necessity for blockchain frameworks, and I will also be going through what are the blockchain applications or decentralized applications known as DApps. Yeah, so let me start with my presentation. Now, a blockchain can be said as an illustrated as a digital ledger of transaction. If we consider a centralized system where there's a central server, it usually maintains and it takes care of all the transactions that is present in an existing system. That is, a centralized server will maintain the transaction that takes place between its own multiple nodes of a system or clients or client transaction. It maintains and takes care of it. But when we think about in an security aspect, a centralized figure can do whatever it requires or whatever it finds convenient, which might not be appropriate for every scenario. And that's why blockchain came to be what it is right now. That is, a blockchain kind of an application. It tries to build a decentralization or provide a security to users such that there's no centralized server that can provide vulnerability. Now, if we see it in terms of a definition, it can be said as a digital ledger of transaction. So what it means is that it's an open ledger of transaction where anyone can see what's going on and participate in it. So if we think about a ledger, it's basically like a notebook where everyone can write their own information on it. So it's basically like that. A blockchain is a digital ledger where every node contains its own information, which is provided by individual users that take part in it. So that's why each of the blocks generated after every transaction holds various information about the transaction and gets itself updated in every participant's ledger, which once written cannot be changed. And that's why this is an open, decentralized system. Now, let's go to blockchain application. Now, when I mentioned that a blockchain is a ledger or a digital ledger for application, now let's assume that in a software program, a software development application, where there are multiple type of architecture, where there can be any number of nodes, any number of servers, clients, and so on. Now, the transaction between them can be also taken into in such a way that it can also be stored in a digital ledger. And that kind of approach is what takes us to blockchain application, or more formally, it can be said as DApp or decentralized application. Now, there are many kinds of blockchain development projects that developers might working on right now, and I would be illustrating some of them right now. What is decentralized finance? And that is one of a project that's been in a rise for in blockchain field for a while right now. So decentralized finance aims to build a convert existing software, centralized software application on a banking side. So whenever we say banking servers, we might be doing some payment transaction. A customer might be sending to another customer. So the transaction between them is handled by a centralized server. So if I'm sending some amount of cash to person XYZ, the transfer of cash goes through a centralized authority, that is bank here, which facilitates this transaction. So the XYZ, the cash have to send to this XYZ goes through the bank and goes to XYZ. To prevent unnecessary vulnerabilities and eliminate fees that even banks incur into this transaction, a decentralized finance aims to promote peer-to-peer communication and P2P transactions. That is, in this case, if this were a decentralized finance application, DeFi application, then I would be communicating directly to Mr. XYZ and I can send whatever I want. Now, the another goals of this DeFi application in finance sector is that it tries to use a blockchain technology to provide financial service such as loans, payments, and asset trading as well. So, due to openness of blockchain, and since a digital ledger cannot be changed, such features, such financial services will be valuable when blockchain's advantages are being transferred here. Now, let's say healthcare record system. That is another one of projects that has been in rise among the blockchain developers. So uh, these kind of systems tries to protect healthcare records. That is, here security does not mean necessarily mean cash or something valuable, but it is in a way of access control. Let's say I have my own healthcare personal information. Now here there are various policies that have been kept so that no one unnecessary or someone who isn't authorized can view my healthcare information. So such kind of access control is how we are going to do with blockchain based technology. So we are going to use blockchain to securely store and share healthcare data. Now, if I have to send it to my personal doctor, so it should be such a way that no one else can peek through my data. Now, these systems aim to replace traditional centralized solution for added security. So the existing proposed, there are many proposed solutions for this healthcare record system based in blockchain, and most of them use a distributed ledger technology like an Ethereum-based blockchain to design a system framework of medical record management to ensure security of data. Now, in this case, this ledger technology stores on individual nodes the medical records that are necessary on individual nodes by utilizing smart contracts. Now, here is a small example for an architecture diagram for how a blockchain would have worked on a software application. Now, if it were a basic software application without blockchain, here all the hospital's local database would be connected to a centralized database, which would try to enforce these rules so that users may not be able to access it. But now that we are going to add blockchain here, as you can see, each hospital has its own ledger. That is, as I previously mentioned, each participant have their own ledger to which they can update any changes that has been incurred. And these ledgers are connected in such a way that no changes can take place without proper form. No changes can take place at all. So that's why it's a proper decentralized solution architecture for healthcare application. Now, third one is real estate application. This kind of application is more towards digital assets, mainly focused when we come for blockchain-based solution and real estate. So if you see blockchain-based real estate, it's basically to abstract an existing land area into a digital tokens. So when we do that, users will be able to purchase this token and gain fractional ownership of this property. But if we say it in an opposite way, a land's property value can be owner details can be stored in a distributed ledger so that we can properly know who owns what piece of land. Now, traditionally, it is known that it is known for conflicts between ownership of land, like same land can be owned by multiple people in existing centralized solution. So if we use a blockchain based and decentralized solution, we would be openly able to know this piece of land is owned by this person, and a transfer of ownership also can be done easily with digital tokens available through blockchain. Now, apart from illustration of these three projects, we can understand how blockchain can be added to a software application, and this overall package can be called as a DApp. Now, even if there are various software solution, and it's not common for Web 2 applications at all. There are a ton of programmers right now, even they are starting to learn Web 2 so that they can build new applications. This illustrates us how blockchain can be added to new applications to convert from a regular software application to become a decentralized application where its usage is valuable. Now, if we consider an aspect of development, as I said, if you are going to add blockchain functionalities to a software application, that's where frameworks come in. A frameworks can be set as an APIs, a set of APIs, libraries, all together combined, so that developers can use them and develop all kind of blockchain application they need. Now, I'll go through a blockchain framework. It's, as I said before, it's a set of tools and protocols that allows developers to build and deploy blockchain application, or they can integrate a blockchain-based network through their own software application. Now, such framework typically includes a set of APIs and libraries so that developers can easily build application on top of blockchain platform. Now, there are various features available. Some of frameworks provide us and some of frameworks don't. And it depends on frameworks. Now, I'll be going through what are the frameworks available for Python language specifically. And there are various languages being used for development of decentralized applications, but I would be going through Python as it's one of my favorite languages. Now, what are the frameworks available for Python? Now, as you can see here, Ethereum is a popular blockchain-based network. It is a distributed ledger technology which provides a platform for running smart contracts. Now, it also includes a Python library called web3.py that can be used to interact with Ethereum nodes and build blockchain applications. Now, if there is a blockchain consisting of several nodes that has stored such certain information, and I would require my Python-based mobile application or desktop application or even web application, it is to extract few data from this Ethereum network. I can easily use this web3.py library and extract or manage or do all kinds of stuff that has been available through this library on this Ethereum network. Now, Hyperledger Fabric is another one of a network of a framework that has been, it's an open source framework for building blockchain application. It is primarily written in Go language, but it also includes a Python SDK so that we can build applications on top of it. Now, there are n number of frameworks, and this is other two. Corda and Multichain are also open source platforms, which provides us building blockchain applications. They have their own inbuilt Python API support so that we can use these libraries and build our own blockchain-based applications. And Block Apps is another platform for building and deploying blockchain applications as well. They also provide a Python API. Now I'll go in depth in each of them. So yeah, as I said, Web3.py is specifically for Ethereum network. It's commonly found in decentralized application to help send transaction, interact with smart contracts, read block data, and variety of use cases. So originally it was built for JavaScript language that is based on web3.js, and based on that, web3.py has been developed in later stages. So yeah, Hyperledger Fabric is like open source blockchain platform that I have explained before, and multi-chain platform or an MRPC library. So in a multi-chain framework, it's a platform to build blockchain application. MRPC is the library which supports building of communicating with this network to our Python's software application. It enables developers to perform various actions such as creating new addresses, sending and receiving assets, and querying the blockchain for information. The library uses JSON RPC control to communicate with multi-chain mode and provides an abstraction layer that makes it easy to work with blockchain. Now, unlike the Web3.py framework that I have talked before, that uses WebSockets or an HTTP connection specifically. But if you were going to go with a production-based application, then HTTP is a main focus of Web3.py library. But when we see MRPC library, it uses remote procedural call support from JSON RPC to communicate with multi-chain node and provides this support. So yeah, now I'll be going through a basic application to store and create a transaction in an Ethereum network using Web3.py, a demonstration. So I'll be explaining now a basic demonstration of a D application using Python and Ganache. So Ganache is a way to is a easy to build platform for blockchain where we can develop a Ethereum based blockchain, and we'll be demonstrating a small functionality from Python so that we can show how Web3.py Python framework works. So now let's say here's our Ganache Ethereum network that we are using, and it's been running on RPC server 127.0.0.1 slash port number of 7545. So we will be communicating with this through an HTTP call or an RPC call. So as you can see here, these are the accounts given in a trial version of this Ganache software. So let's say we are taking a small public address of this account, and yeah, now what I'll be doing is I will be constructing two transactions here. So let's start from the beginning. So yeah, this Solidity source code is where we'll be constructing transaction, as that is a main part of a blockchain that is being built in Solidity. So from that, we'll be using this Solidity program to store two transactions. That is, one is to create a transaction and another will to update a transaction on Ethereum blockchain. So let's say this is my address of this account, and here's a private address of the same account, and private account. And from this, what I'll be doing is that I would be create a contract using Python through which is available from API given to us from w3.py library. So from that, I would get that latest transaction, and I would be, what I say, I would be changing it and create a new transaction from it by updating its value. So from that value, I would be increasing its value to 15 and store its another transaction by editing it. So basically, we're just creating a transaction and modifying a transaction to create another one. So basically, on the aim of this program would be to show that Ethereum, this w3.py's API will be able to create a transaction, not just that, create another transaction based on modification from previous one. So let me run this code and I'll show how this works. So when I run it, it calls that Solidity program. And as you can see, it has created a transaction, and on creation, its initial value is 0. So it takes that 0, converts it to 15, and stores it as another transaction. So I'll be showing how this output is reflected in a Ganache interface. So as you can see here, these are the blocks it's created. The block third and the block fourth, as you can see the timing, that is a transaction that's been created for these modifications. So, or if we go to transaction, as you can see here, the initial contract creation has been taken care, and then modification for this has also been taken place. Or else, if we go to the logs, as you can see here, the logs it has shown of block number 4 and block number 3. The 3 was for creation. We got its block number and all its information, and it has shown how the changes has worked on. So this would be a basic way to explain how we can also use web3.py library to develop our own Python blockchain D application. Thank you.